The COVID-19 pandemic has been very hard on every single person, but it's safe to say that performing artists and people in the entertainment industry have been particularly affected with issues such as job loss as a result of venues being closed for such a long period of time. As an artist, you may have been out of work for some time, and perhaps you've grieved over the creative projects that just weren't meant to be. Perhaps you've worried about the future, wonder if it's all worth it. Perhaps you've considered changing careers, going on a personal growth journey, creating your own personal art in the confines of your home, or perhaps brainstorming ways to connect with people and keep your art and expression alive. And maybe you've grieved some more. Maybe you feel resentment or jealousy when you see other artists performing in different parts of the world. Maybe you've gotten excited when a potential project comes up only to face the disappointment of it then being cancelled again. And it has been an emotional roller coaster for everyone. After 2 years, we're starting to see the arts world slowly recover and venues reopen for live events and performances. But can we just expect ourselves to get back into our art like nothing ever happened? For most of us, no, not really. After the emotional and psychological hardships artists have faced with the pandemic, which has often led to other subsequent personal hardships, many artists may find themselves feeling blocked even when objectively the way forward is starting to clear. If this is you and you're feeling stuck when it comes to getting yourself back out there after COVID, keep watching. Hello, lovely ones. This is Livia. I'm a professional operatic soprano, voice teacher, and the founder of Singing for Self-Care. If you like health and heart-based singing, I highly suggest you subscribe because I'm here for you on Mondays with tips on your most powerful method of self-care, your voice. Because remember, you and your voice are practically magic. The majority of people watching this video are not subscribed, but as a tiny YouTube channel, your subscription has an immense amount of value and will hugely help get this information out there to the people who need to hear it. So please click that button. So getting back on the singing horse after Corona, or anything music, acting, or art related, where to start? Let go of the fear of judgment. The first thing to keep in mind is that this time has been an immensely difficult time on every single person in the world. I mean, people have lost loved ones. Our lives have been hugely disrupted. We're getting used to the implications of isolation. There are so many different factors here, and people are hyper-focused on their own lives and struggles at the moment. So when you make the decision of putting your art back out there, let go of the idea that anyone is going to judge you. Sometimes one of the reasons why we may feel apprehensive to start afresh is because we're afraid of maybe what others might think of us. In making the decision to move forward, pick ourselves up and start again, we may worry that it will draw attention to ourselves, and this will invite judgment from others that are around us or online. Now, there is a well-documented phenomenon called the spotlight effect. Now, the spotlight effect is our human tendency to assume that everyone noticed something about us, when in reality, we vastly overestimate this. It comes down to ego. Now, ego is not a dirty word. We all have an ego, which is how we identify with ourselves, and it shapes how we interact with the world around us. Now, being egocentric, it doesn't mean that you're being selfish or arrogant. It just means that our whole existence is from our own perspective and our own experience. I mean, this is our only point of reference. So because we can only go about our lives from our own perspective and being the center of our own universe, so to say, when we make the decision to undergo some sort of transformation or start a new chapter in our life, like getting back into our art after the pandemic, these changes, they're huge for us. And we assume that everyone is going to notice and everyone is going to judge. But the thing is, everyone is subject to their own spotlight effect. They have their own important things that they think you will notice and judge, but you probably haven't even spared a single thought. They're terrified about their own perceived shortcomings. And the spotlight effect is compounded during a time like Corona, where everyone has struggled so much. Keep in mind also that 2020 and 2021 was like a collective blank on everyone's CV. So no one cares, don't worry. Acceptance. It's very hard to move forward and start putting your art out there again if you are fixating on the past. We can't change what's already happened, and much that did happen was completely out of our control. So it's very tempting when in a position where we feel stuck to ask ourselves disempowering questions. Disempowering meaning focusing on things that you have no control over. So like, why did this happen? If it weren't for this restriction, I could have still done that concert. Or because of Corona, now I'm too old to enter that competition or do that program that I wanted to do. Or I couldn't travel for that audition, so I didn't get the part. These are all things that we have no control over. And when we fixate on them, we give away our power, and it makes it hard for us to heal, take charge of our life, and move forward. Rather, if you find yourself ruminating on these thoughts, remind yourself that this is the past. It's done, you're letting go of those frustrations, and you can focus on things that are within your control. So things like this include setting up positive habits, planning for the future, and always how you respond to the things around you. Your big why. I've mentioned the big why in a few of my videos now, and I think it makes perfect sense to put it in this video too. If you're making a big change in your life, you're making a decision to move forward and start again, have a plan to help you get there because it's a must. And in order to figure out the steps of that plan and develop your systems to help you achieve your goals, you need your big end goal in mind first. In order to create this new life for yourself, what do you need to change about your old life? With your big end goals, it helps for them to be specific, but also self-empowering. Succeeding at a certain audition, getting into a specific school, or maybe selling a certain amount of albums are all goals that are outside your realm of control. Other people call the shots on those. Instead, aim for something specific that is within your control. Perhaps finishing an album or learning a role in a musical or opera, or perhaps feeling more comfortable with an aspect of your singing technique. In order to emotionally connect with your end goal, which will make you more likely to reach it, and also it acts as a good source of motivation, establish your big why. Your big why is the underlying reason you want to achieve your goal in the first place. Now, I do have a worksheet to help you identify your big why in my free ebook, Singing with Confidence. If you're interested in checking that out, you can find it on the free resources page of my website. I'll leave a little link in the description. Detach from the outcome. Yes, we've just spoken about setting goals, but ultimately, the most important thing is the systems that will get you there. So when we focus solely on the goal or outcome itself, whenever we experience setbacks on the way, it can be really tempting to give up. We can't rely on motivation alone when pursuing goals because motivation, it's elusive, it's short-lived, and it's just a lucky little bonus that we may feel sometimes. Focusing purely on outcomes is not sustainable because it doesn't account for all the little micro steps both forward and back that we have to take on our journey. And progress is never linear. So when we detach from the outcome, we relieve judgment on ourselves. And every step forward or backward is a learning experience and is hugely valuable. So in a sense, we're never ever really truly moving backwards. This change in perspective helps you remain consistent and prevents you from giving up before you achieve the amazing things that you deserve to achieve for yourself. So in times of hardship where your goals feel out of reach, ask yourself, what is this experience teaching me? And reclaim your personal power. Things aren't always going to go your way, but you can always find appreciation for the journey you face along the way. Question your limitations. So, take a step back and examine all of the things that you think are holding you back from putting your art out there. So maybe you think, I'll take some lessons to warm into it again first, or I need to lose some of my quarantine weight before I film myself, or I need to get the feedback of such and such a person, or I need to wait until this person is available to play for me. I don't have any money to start projects, especially because I lost so much money with the pandemic. So limitations. They aren't all bad. Your brain has created them to try and protect you after all. So for example, if money is a contributing factor, don't just drop everything and go into debt hiring a recording studio or doing an expensive course. That's not a limiting belief, that's common sense. But don't rule out certain things straight away if you can't budget them into your life. Instead, get resourceful. Being short on cash may be the perfect time to learn how to apply for grants, look for opportunities or scholarships, do independent research or reading, finding free courses online. You may want to consider alternate or creative spaces or ways to record, or otherwise create opportunities for yourself. And perhaps you wouldn't learn these valuable skills otherwise if you did have a lot of money to just splash around. The important thing is that you look at limitations in a balanced way. Now, identify what's common sense, but then also identify what is something that is keeping you trapped in a psychological loop. And you'll likely find that with every roadblock that feels like it's out of your control or is along the lines of like, oh, I can do it only when, X, Y, Z, that will always have a counterpart that is absolutely within your control, and it's just open and ripe to teach you a valuable life lesson. Your limitations are a gift, so get creative. The inevitability of failure. Failure and success are both highly subjective and fluid concepts. So I was thinking of actually doing a separate video on this in the future, so if that sounds interesting to you, let me know in the comments. So we've established that progress towards your goal is never going to be linear. There will always be setbacks. I mean, that's just life, right? What is important is how you keep picking yourself up and moving forward. And so much of that is learning through your mistakes. We have to make mistakes or otherwise we don't learn. So that means if you drop the ball on your practice, or you miss a deadline that you've set yourself, or maybe you binge watch something on Netflix because you were avoiding doing something musical, there are lessons in all of these things. It may prompt you to examine your habits and your processes so you can fine-tune things to help you be more consistent. It may be a prompt to examine why you feel a certain resistance towards certain tasks. Or it could promote trust in yourself so that you know that even when you fall off once, that you are capable of picking yourself back up. So especially with pursuing music. So for example, you can't objectively be the best at singing. Success means different things to different people, and not everyone is going to like your work no matter how good it is. So why beat yourself up over something that you perceive as a failure when at its core is subjective anyway? Waste of time. Move on. If you create a contingency plan for yourself in the event that you lose motivation or experience a failure, you'll be more in the mindset of learning from your experiences. Plus, you'll have a concrete way of moving forward and keeping on track. Don't just plan for the days that you're feeling great. Plan also for the days when you aren't feeling great, because they will definitely pop up. All in all, you're not alone if you're finding it difficult to pick yourself up over what we have just experienced as a global community. Now, the purpose of this video isn't to strong arm you into a sense of, oh, I should be productive, I should be doing this, I should be putting my music out there. There is no should anything. You've gone through a hugely difficult period with a lot of different emotions. Loss, grief, loneliness, uncertainty, really like the whole gamut. And if your heart is saying to you that you need to rest and process things, then you do just that. There is no time limit on healing, so please just be kind to yourself. But if you do see the road in front of you and you want to get back to music, but you just feel like something is getting in your way, I really hope that these tips give you a little bit to think about and maybe help you navigate yourself into a place where you feel a little bit more free and expressive. As always, thanks for hanging out with me, and I will see you next time.